My name is Neil Stearns, and I've spent 31 years in the television business. I started at APA, which was a talent agency, and from there I went to Dick Clark Productions as a senior vice president. I was responsible for the award shows such as the American Music Awards, the Academy of Country Music Awards, the Golden Globes, New Year's Rockin' Eve, and several others. Following that, I was also responsible for all the television movies that were made and series. We did both half-hour and hour series. And at the end of 11 years, when I understood that Dick Clark, with whom I had a really good relationship, was going to sell the company, I decided to leave. I then joined Howard Stern Productions to develop shows for his television business. And about 2 years into that, Howard decided to take an offer from Sirius Radio for $500 million and basically didn't have any time for the television business whatsoever. So I left and started my own business. It was a talent agency that I ran for 9 years. And my specialty was getting involved with reality shows. And the first big show that I had was The Dog Whisperer, which ran for 9 seasons with Cesar Millan as the star. And I worked on all aspects of that, including creating revenue from all sources, whether it was product that we made, deals that we did for endorsements, personal appearances. At one point, we were getting Cesar $50,000 a day to speak to 2,000, 3,000 people, and he was doing two on a weekend. It was $100,000 a weekend. The show itself made the production company probably about $15–20 million over the course of the years. And then I found these 3 guys in Las Vegas who had a pawn shop. And I thought they were kind of interesting, and I shot a sizzle reel with them and took it to every network in town. And every network turned it down, with the exception of the last one left, which was the History Channel, which at that point basically was doing nothing but history. And oddly enough, they bought the show. The show was named Pawn Stars. And it's still on the air. It's been running for 9 seasons. It has netted close to $2 billion for the production company and for the network. The production company that I sold it to then sold themselves for close to $400 million 2 years ago. Not including giving you the rights to the Pawn Stars. They continued to own those rights, and I think they were consumed by Endemol, one of the larger companies. I've represented the Hilton family on and off for the last 15 years. I did Kathy Hilton's first reality show, which was for NBC and ran for 10 episodes, and that was probably one of the first really big production reality shows. I know pretty much everything there is to know about that world, and it's a world that I like because it doesn't take a lot up front to get into it, and the back end in success, the back end is huge. As I said, the production company that did Pawn Stars just sold itself a year and a half ago for close to $400 million, and they kept the rights to Pawn Stars. So that's a $1 billion deal for them. I found this gentleman named Anthony Melchiori about 5 years ago, and I saw a little video of him talking about the fact that he is an expert in hotels. And I immediately signed him and sold his show, which is called Hotel Impossible, to the Travel Channel. And it is finishing its 5th season, and they just ordered a new show, where it's called Great Hotels of the World. The first show was showing what's wrong with hotels, and this one is he's going around the world showing what's right with hotels and what these people are doing that make them so special that people want to pay extraordinary amounts of money to stay at these hotels. And they may spin him off into a third show, but it was just based on his personality that I had a sense that we were going to be able to do something with him. And we also created a clothing line for him because he's very immaculately dressed all the time, and he's very into clothes. We've done the same thing with Pawn Stars. We had T-shirts, we had all sorts of things, and Las Vegas has Pawn Star slot machines. I mean, we used everything we could to create product around these people, and that's where the real money comes in. And no matter what they can get paid, when you have product that you can sell worldwide, and like Pawn Stars is in 164 countries, and all that revenue comes back to not only the production company but to the network. And that's a juggernaut. You can't stop that. That thing will, and it'll run for, it's in its 9th season. It'll run for 3 more years at least. I want to build a company that can support that, and with people who are expert in their fields. And I want to do a management business as well, because if someone gets a commercial and you're their manager, you collect forever, as long as that show or commercial runs. There are endorsement deals to be made. I've made a lot of deals for the Hilton family. I just recently did a deal with for Kathy Hilton and Nikki. I did a clothing deal for Nikki. Within a year, she made about $1.5 million just to advise the clothing maker on what she liked and what she wanted to do. And I found that being on camera and having that auspices allows us to extract as much money as possible for our clients and therefore for us. And being on the production side, which I have been, that's where the money is, and that's where we want to be. I was introduced to Tony by a very high-level executive at HBO who I have tremendous respect for and trust. And when I met Tony, I wanted to nail him to the chair because he's so energetic. I don't know what to do with him, but he is one of the most creative people I've ever met. And I am absolutely delighted to be in business with him. Even though I don't have that energy anymore, he has enough for both of us. So, and I find him to be really creative. We've got about 5 shows now that Tony's created that we're going out with. One has already been optioned by a production company, and we're waiting to see if we can get that set up at a network. But I believe that we can have an incredible production company that could be hugely successful. And I've seen the kind of money that can be made, especially in reality television. Unlike movies where you have to put up millions of dollars, that doesn't apply in the business that I'm in. We shoot sizzle reels for $10,000 to $25,000 a piece, and if that doesn't work, you put it away and you take it out 6 months later because the tastes change. The networks are always looking for something different, but they don't know what they want. And so just like, with Pawn Stars, they kept saying, no, this isn't going to work. But guess what? It's a $2 billion business for the networks, and it made many, many people extraordinarily rich. I really feel that Tony has the wherewithal to make this happen. He is totally creative. He is amazing in energy. I've never seen anybody work 23 hours a day. I don't know when he sleeps, but I think with the relationships that I have on a very high level, both at production companies and at networks, I can still get return phone calls from senior vice presidents and presidents of networks. And I think that Tony's the guy that can create the material that I think I can sell with him. And he's, by the way, I've been in a room with him. He's an amazing salesman. Tony came in and got me very enthusiastic about the possibility of us working together. I wasn't crazy about getting back into this game on a full-time basis, but his attitude and his energy and his creativity, I just couldn't ignore. And it's something that is rare in this business, to see all three of those elements together. And I've been doing this long enough to know that I don't think I would find a better partner for me. He, I think, became the initiator of a dream that I thought would be spectacular, because we could take this to another level and just focus on the one area that I happen to know best, which is the most lucrative area because it requires the least amount of capital up front, and the return is extraordinary. My previous business as just before I met Tony was being an agent, and I represented a lot of these people that I just talked about. And as an agent, you take 10% or you get a package commission. But as a producer, you own the show. You own a big chunk of the show. I mean, the network is going to want a piece of that too. But as an owner of the show, in success, there is no comparison to what an agent will make. And so when Tony approached me about the idea of starting a production company, you know, I thought back to Dick Clark, and when I started with Dick Clark, he had a crummy $200 million, and when I left Dick Clark, he had over $840 million. And he didn't do that by being an agent. He did that by producing and creating shows and hiring people like me to do that, and he made a fortune. And that's where the big money is, and there's not a huge investment involved. I mean, you know, I have always steered away from motion pictures, because I think that there's a huge risk there. You've got to put up a lot of money. I know a lot of people who've done that and gotten burned, and it's not in my world. I love to go to the movies, but I do not like to put money into the movies. That's why I'm in television, because the upfront money is far less, and if you do want to do something expensive, the network pays for it. And in success, there is an enormous back end. Tony introduced me to Chewy Bravo from the Chelsea Handler show, and I immediately understood that this was a person who I think can sell product as well as being on another show. And the guy is he's natural. Everybody loves this guy, and Chelsea will do anything for him. And it was kind of funny, because when I first met him, I kind of went, well, what are you going to do with this guy? Well, Tony had about 23 ideas as to what to do with this guy, and I think he convinced me that there's a big play in Chewy Bravo. And so I'm now setting meetings with Tony to pitch Chewy to networks throughout the spectrum, to see who's going to bite. And I think we'll get more than one response, in positive. Right now he's doing a show that our company put together for him and made the deal. And it's a pilot for a new show, but he's non-exclusive, because we made sure that he is always going to be available to us. But once he's on the air, that's great, because that's just a commercial for whatever we do for him. So I'm excited about that. And besides which, Tony never lets you rest until you say yes. So I had to say yes. We've created a corporation called Stearns Cohen Media, and that's going to be the core of our business. What we need for that business would be, it's not a lot of money. We're talking probably about $500,000 a year over 2 years. Put together a team of professionals that will work with us And I know a lot of people who have great talent, some of whom I've worked with before, some of whom I've wanted to work with. But we have to have these people in order to be able to get into the business in a big way. Two people can't do everything. And some of the production companies that I've dealt with have 80, 90 people on staff. When I was at Dick Clark, we had 120 bodies in the building. And, we don't need that kind of backup, but as we grow, we will need more people. But just to get moving and to get the first 3, 4, 5 shows on the air, we're going to need people who actually know what they're doing. I can get to the highest levels at most networks, but I want them to be able to back me up, because there's a lot of information that's needed to be able to say, oh, XYZ network wants this kind of show, let's go find one. And somebody goes out and finds one. And that means you've got to go take a camera, go find people who seem to be the right type for that particular show. Sometimes you have to scour the country. A lot of these production companies now, they've got people all over the country who are looking for those characters, because characters make the show. And in order to compete, we need not only, decently beautiful offices, but we need the brain power behind that. We need research. We need people who can go out and find the people that we need. We need backup. We need people who can man the phones, talk to lower level network executives. What are you looking at now? What's happening? Because that changes on a month to month basis. As soon as a show hits, everybody wants that show in a different format. So we need to have really smart people behind us who can deliver and to take some of that burden off of us and come to us and say, hey, I was just at a lunch with so-and-so and they're looking for this. And if we can find that, they've got a spot for it on the air. That's important stuff. And that requires people that have expertise, have been in the business a while. These aren't kids. They have to be able to know their way around and be able to talk to network executives, as though they are professional, because they have to be. But we need to create a viable corporation. We need to be able to have development executives. We need to have people who can get involved in management, who can create a television business where we can sell entertainers and actors, both to commercials and to events. That's where Tony comes in, because he's got such creativity that I think we could put together a team that can really make a difference and get some really fine shows on the air, and shows that can stick and stay on the air long enough so that we can sell ourselves for $400 or $500 million.
Race car driving is one of America's most beloved and most dangerous sports. Strapped behind the wheel of an exotic sports car in a 5-point harness with over 500 horsepower is at your fingertips. Welcome to Grand Race Auto. Now, it's every adrenaline junkie's dream to race cars. We'll give 12 ordinary people a shot at the extraordinary. We're putting you through race car driving boot camp. Each team will consist of 2 people, the contestant and a celebrity mentor who will train the contestant for a shot at the grand finale race. The Grand Race Auto winner will choose between this: $250,000 in cash, or this: a brand new Lamborghini Gallardo Superleggera. Welcome to Grand Race Auto. As they train, one driver will be eliminated at the end of every episode. Sorry, Andy, you didn't qualify for round 2. Please turn in your suit. It's time for you to go home. The last 5 drivers standing will receive advanced driver training and compete in the grand finale race. Congratulations, drivers! You're competing in the grand finale. They'll be pushed to their limits. Tempers are getting high. They're competing for $250,000 or a Lamborghini. I don't expect anything less. I just hope no one gets a ride home. Some will rise to the occasion, and some will crash and burn. Only one will survive. First of all, congratulations to all of you. You've all really worked hard, but there can only be one winner. The winner is Grand Race Auto.